Campbell, Councillor Reynolds and Councillor Merrick, the room. Before I start the meeting, I'd just like to mention that item 5.3 on the agenda on page 27, illuminated billboard sign at 392 Arthur Highway, has been withdrawn from today's agenda. So that will be addressed to me today.
Can I leave, please? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's why I thought I'd mention it.
So it's been withdrawn altogether, or is it going to be reviewed later?
It will be reviewed at a later date. So the applicants have applied for an extension, and we will address it when it comes around again. Does it go through the application program? The advertising process again?
Most likely not.
Okay.
No. So yeah, they requested additional time to attempt to see if there's any changes that they could propose that might lead to a different recommendation.
Okay. So in probably 5 weeks' time, it will return to the agenda, or?
Yeah, certainly with 5 weeks or less. Just yeah, it's a little bit hard to be more certain at this stage because we haven't had any more discussions with them.
So they change the application or modify it?
Currently, they've just asked for an extension, so
sorry, Chair, so effectively the application's been deferred. When we know if it's coming back to the Planning Authority meeting to be determined, we will notify all representatives and others of the change of when the date will be.
Right.
We just
So it's just been deferred, not amended or changed?
not yet. No. The extension of time is to enable them, if they wish, or they do wish, to talk to staff around what may be able to change with the application that may end up with a different recommendation, but none of those discussions have happened. This just happened a few hours ago, the extension of time, so nothing's been proposed that's yet any different.
So if you put in a representation against or for it or against it, you will be notified when it returns to the agenda.
Yes, okay. I think it puts people that have put what can I say, that they're against the development. Then if the applicant is making representation to the planning team and something comes out of that, then that puts us at a disadvantage.
Well, that would be where determination would be made by the staff if.
But isn't the staff around made the determination?
Yeah, so if the applicants wish to propose a different version of the proposal, then the determination will be made if it's a new application and goes through the whole process again, or if it's re-advertised or not. So we have no idea yet what will be discussed or not, and we'll have to make the determination once that's occurred. But at this stage, sort of applications in abeyance, what was proposed, what's been recommended, it's sort of just paused, if you like, and we'll see what the applicants want to discuss or not, and then we'll make a determination of what is the appropriate process from there.
Wouldn't it be correct that the meeting would the determination be made, and then they have an opportunity then to put a what's the word?
Like an amendment or something.
Amendment then? I mean, well, it's unregular to be starting the process now, isn't it?
No, it's entirely, sorry mate, it's entirely, if you like, a matter for the applicant. If they wish to provide an extension of time, then we can do this, but if they were not to provide an extension of time, then we'll be dealing with the matter as put.
I can't understand why, if they put an extension of time, what would happen that it would not affect us?
Well, that's what we will determine. We'll make sure that it's transparent and due process is followed so that no party is disadvantaged.
This is common practice. It happens quite a lot. It's unusual for it to the extension to be applied at such a late date, at such a late hour. Normally it happens before the agenda is put together, but they've come at the 11th hour with this application for extension, which I don't think we can review. So, but you'll be notified when it comes to SPA meeting again next time. So it's the process, and that's the separation between the planning or acting as a planning authority and acting as councillors. So we have to follow the planning authority guidelines. So that's all we can say currently at the moment.
I would like to think that it is a transparent process, that whatever is discussed between the applicant and the planning obtainers is made available to the people that make representation. Otherwise, we'll be disadvantaged of what's been going on in the background. It's a closed meeting, and we're not aware of what's been said at such a late stage.
But nothing has been said, so.
We assume there's going to be, isn't it? That's why they ask.
Yeah, but that can happen with any application. At any point from when it's lodged to when the decision's made, the applicant is within the rights to talk to council staff and councillors as often as they like or not. I guess the tipping point now is, well, if they wish to change any aspect of the proposal, we make a determination of, no, that's so significant it needs a fresh application, or that's within the realms of it able to be re-advertised and all parties get the opportunity to look at it again and sort of start afresh, if you like. But
No, I understand what you're saying. I just fear that if there's going to be a non-transparent sort of discussions between the applicant and the planning staff, that something's said and advice is given and they make an amendment to it, and the outcome is going to be, detrimental to what we see as a fair process.
I understand your point, but we will make sure we don't.
No, but I don't think that should happen. You know, like if they talk to the staff, if they do that, then it's got to be transparent. They can't sort of seek advice from the planners and then make a change to their application and put us at a disadvantage.
If I may, I'm just trying to wrap this up. Council's planning team don't provide advice to applicants. We're not their representatives. So the applicant has their own private planning consultant. It's that private planning consultant who gives them advice around what they can apply for or not and their chances of. Our role is purely to regulate it. So we're purely assessing it. So if they wish to have discussions with us and propose alternatives or the like, we will take it on board, but it's not our role to give any sort of advice or assistance
or
to
bargaining. There's no bargaining. Something like that.
If it's transparent, that's all necessary, really. Because it covers everything.
Yes, yeah.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity.
No, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Right then, on to item 3, confirmation of the minutes of the 10th of February 2026. Recommendation that the minutes of the Sorell Planning Authority SPA meeting held on 10th of February 2026 be confirmed. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Nichols. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest for today's agenda? No. Right. In considering the following land use planning matters, the Sorell Planning Authority intends to act as a planning authority under the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993. Item 5 on the agenda, land use planning. 5.1, report on representations received for substitute draft planning scheme amendment SOR 5.0 2024.214.1 general business zone at 3 Western Hill Road, 5 Cole Street and 2 Paulina Road, Sorell. Proposal being to rezone the general business zone and open space zone with specific area plan. Can I have a mover for this recommendation, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Nichols to second. Thank you. Opening the floor. Councillor Reid.
Thank you. There are several mentions of the setback. One time increased to 30, and then there are other distances in the actual plan. Just have a summary of where we've landed as far as the setbacks and the rivulet go.
Yes. On the document, sorry. So what essentially has happened is the commission has rewritten the amendment, and so in their view, what's been proposed is if you're on the western side of the rivulet, there would be a 10-metre setback from the rivulet. And if you are on the eastern side, so 2 Paulina Road, there would effectively be a 25-metre setback from the actual rivulet. It's a little bit part of the complications in following all of this is that there is an open space zone on one side of the rivulet, and we're talking about setbacks from the zone, but the practical effect is 10 metres on the western side from the rivulet itself, 25 metres on the eastern side from the rivulet itself, and there are performance criteria for anything that might end up being closer, which really talks about, look, does it overshadow that rivulet corridor too much? Is it too overbearing? Is it creating sort of unsafe environments, so it's passive surveillance, and how open and the like the building is?
So the intent being to keep the rivulet corridor and that open space. There is an open space.
Yes.
Along the rivulet.
So it's really about protecting the rivulet corridor as a movement space, and making sure it's not it's open and inviting to users and not unsafe, or it doesn't, it's not a large ugly building there that detracts from that space.
Shane, am I correct in remembering that when we first saw this, the recommendation was 10, and then during that was a motion put to extend it to that 20?
Yes, correct. So when this was first endorsed by council on the 2 Paulina Road side, it was a 10-metre setback from the open space zone, so 20 metres. Council resolved to increase that to 50, and the commission has moved it back to 25.
Thank you. Clarification.
Anything further? Councillor Reid?
If I may, underneath your one on page 4, there's the table of the 5 parts of the specific area plan. And one, there's 2 that sound similar, and I would appreciate just an explanation of how they apply differently. 1.3 is does not compromise natural flood function. 1.4 is response to the natural flood function. They seem similar, but perhaps an explanation, please, on
So there are already in the planning scheme. There's existing flood hazard code, which does talk about buildings buildings being safe from flooding and buildings not adversely affecting other properties by increasing the flooding downstream or upstream. The SES provided a representation and spoke to the Commission at the hearing, and they felt that the existing statewide flood hazard code didn't quite adequately recognise that natural watercourses have a flood function, that it is important to just recognise that those areas will flood and to I guess re-emphasise that the design of the site, the buildings and infrastructure will need to be protected from flooding, but it's equally important to essentially let the rivulet flood. So that's where they're talking about this natural flood function. And so the SES have asked for some these additional provisions, and yes, there's a lot of similarity in the SAP and in the flood hazard code as well. It's a little bit of duplication, but essentially they're just trying to build in an additional element to the flooding assessment.
So in a sense, one's focusing on the natural flood function of the rivulet, and the other's focusing on the developments and their impact on it.
Yes, yeah.
Sort of how it works.
Yeah, the planning scheme language mainly that's in the statewide hazard code is really about don't have your own buildings affected by flooding and don't impact any other buildings downstream. Nothing, just to recognise that, well, this is just flooding is a natural process and it needs to be able to go on.
Can I just ask, in the future, when it comes to the actual build, will there be a plan in terms of roadways and connectivity and bridges across the rivulet, and also considering that Block B is part of the floodplain? Will that land, do they have the ability to raise the height of that land by infilling soil or to avoid the flooding?
That is a possible way. So that's essentially how the Coles complex addressed flooding. It built up the land and put the barrier around it. That is a way that they could respond, or otherwise just elevate the habitable buildings above and let the water flow underneath. This doesn't, the SAP doesn't lock in either one. It does though. There is a new clause that says there must be a road connection from precinct A to precinct B built up front.
Okay.
So there does need to be that road crossing.
So do you think you'll get a master plan for the whole site at some point, or?
Well, to comply with that provision, there would need to be essentially a master plan.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions?
Thank you. So the figure 1 on page 4 with the A, B and C essentially shows the privately held land. It doesn't, and the rivulet corridor, it doesn't show any public land on there yet?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, all the land is privately owned at the moment. And there's nothing in this that necessarily says the open space strip must be transferred to council. It's not to say that won't happen, but there's nothing that requires it to happen at this point.
That's it. You happy? All those in favour of the recommendation for 5.1? Unanimous, thank you very much. On to 5.2, dwelling at 621 Primrose Sands Road, Primrose Sands, a dwelling and outbuilding. Recommendation is there before you. Can have a mover for this, please. Councillor Terenius and Deputy Mayor Michael Lyons, thank you very much. Can we go? Any questions or discussions on this? Councillor Reid.
I note the recommendation is for refusal, but on my reading of the report on the performance criteria, which of the performance criteria is the refusal based on?
It's based on the front setback.
The front setback.
So in the main, it's on page 20. Page 20 has at the top of it sort of the summary of the assessment.
Thank you. Thank you. I was confused by the next provision about setback, where it's discussed and found suitable. Thank you.
Anything further? No? All those in favour that the recommendation be accepted, please show hands. Thank you very much. Unanimous, the motion is carried. And I believe that brings us to 5.4. Just a moment. Thank you. 5.4, State Planning Provisions Amendment 01/2026 for secondary residents. Recommendation that Council endorse the submission as provided by the report. Can I have a mover for this, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Reid. Open the floor. Comments on this?
Only that the increase in maximum floor area, I think I've seen it in the state looking at this as well. This is going to be something that's going to allow for, instead of one bedroom, only to potentially two bedroom for granny flats, providing some additional options. Seems to be the reason for the expansion of the floor.
Yes, yeah, there has been a bit of media since this report was completed where, essentially they're providing flexibility for owners to have, a secondary residence, a granny flat. We do find that there are there's certainly a few 60 square metre secondary residences that are two bedroom. Because we don't count the decks or anything like that, it's purely the floor area of the building. So this could accommodate a 3 bedroom. We don't, it's very rare that we have issues with the 60 square metre, but the government's wants to be as flexible as possible, I think, given the housing issues.
Shane, I note that it also mentions no permit required in residential zone. Is that going to cause some headaches in southern beaches where allowances, where we've got odd shaped blocks in connection of services?
Practically, it's unlikely to because of the setbacks that apply in the southern beaches and the wastewater code. Essentially, really, because of the wastewater code, it's highly unlikely there'd be anything that wasn't discretionary, and equally setbacks are usually pretty hard to meet when you're adding a whole entire another building onto a property there, because you've got 5 metre side boundaries and 8 metre front boundaries, so they're large setbacks for small plots, which makes discretion kind of inevitable.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. How does this relate to tiny homes, so-called, and are these type of dwellings sort of in that, could be seen in that vein, or are there other considerations?
I think tiny homes captures another subset, which we see more as the mobile, so caravans or readily relocatable structures. A secondary residence that we approve, probably 90% of them at least, that are a typical housing structure, just of a smaller kind.
Any further? Councillor Reid?
Just for clarity, that is using the existing infrastructure, sewage or whatever it is.
Yes, they must use existing connections. So there's some slight change terminology in this document, but it does, and it has always been the case. It's just to be clearer that if you've got all properties got a reticulated electrical connection, so you must share the meter. If you're in Sorell, or Midway, you'll have a shared water and sewage connection. In the Southern Beaches or an unserviced land, you can have a separate wastewater system. There's no real issue with that per se. But yeah, you must have a shared access. You must have shared electrical metering.
Thank you.
Nothing further? Okey-dokey. All those in favour of the recommendation that the council endorse the submission as approved in the report? All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. Motion carried. That does bring us to the end of the Sorell Planning Authority meeting of March 2026. Thank you very much.